Hold on to your seats, folks, because the political world has just been hit by a bombshell so massive, so jaw-dropping, that it's shaking the very foundations of Britain's Reform UK party. For weeks, Labour and their parade of MPs have hogged the spotlight, basking in the glow of headlines like peacocks strutting their feathers. But now, oh now, the tables have turned in the most shocking, scandal-drenched way imaginable. Reform UK, once the darling of the anti-establishment crowd, has plummeted into a cesspool of disgrace, and it's all thanks to one man, Great Yarmouth's MP, Rupert Low. Yes, you heard that right. This isn't just a ripple in the pond. It's a tsunami of shame crashing over the party, and we've got the sizzling details that'll leave you gasping for air. Before we dive into this cesspit of accusations, threats, and betrayal, let me hit you with something urgent, something you need to do right now. If you're as stunned as I am by this unfolding catastrophe, then smash that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Seriously, folks, we peeling back the curtain on one of the most explosive political scandals of our time, and you cannot afford to miss a single update. Subscribing locks you into this roller coaster. Every twist, every turn, every gut-punching revelation will land right in your feed. And your comments, they fuel this fire. Tell us what you think. Scream it, whisper it, shout it from the rooftops, because this story is too wild to keep to yourself. Hit that button, join the chaos, and let's unravel this nightmare together. Now, back to the carnage. Rupert Low, Reform UK's golden boy from Great Yarmouth, has gone from hero to zero faster than you can say political meltdown. According to a blistering report that set tongues wagging and keyboards clacking, this MP isn't just in hot water, he's drowning in a scalding cauldron of his own making. The accusations, oh, they are not your run-of-the-mill gossip. We're talking serious bullying, the kind that leaves grown adults trembling in fear, and not one, but two bone-chilling threats of physical violence, delivered with a snarl in both his parliamentary and constituency offices. This isn't a slap-on-the-wrist situation, people. This is a full-blown horror show starring a man who's supposed to represent the public. The plot thickens faster than concrete in a rainstorm, because Reform UK's top brass, Chairman Zia Yusuf and Party Chief Lee Anderson, have stepped into the spotlight, faces grim, voices dripping with regret, to confirm the unthinkable. A King's Counsel, yes, one of those fancy legal eagles with a wig and a gavel, has been unleashed to dig into this mess. And guess what? Rupert Low isn't just dodging the investigation, he's flat out refusing to cooperate. Can you believe the audacity? The sheer, unadulterated nerve of this guy? It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, and we all glued to the carnage, popcorn in hand, waiting to see how deep this rabbit hole goes. In a statement that hit like a thunderclap, Anderson and Yusuf didn't hold back. It is with heavy hearts and a sense of betrayal, they declared, that we must reveal the ugly truth. Two female employees, two brave souls who dared to work under the shadow of Rupert Low, have blown the whistle on a campaign of terror in his offices. One toiled away in his parliamentary lair, the other fought to survive in his constituency dungeon. And what did they get for their loyalty? Bullying so vicious, so relentless, that it's left scars, both mental and emotional, etched into their very beings. Cue the gasps, because this isn't just a workplace spat. This is a full-on assault on decency. But wait, it gets worse. Oh, so much worse. Evidence has come pouring in like a tidal wave, crashing through the flimsy defenses of Low's reputation. We talking workplace bullying that'd make a dictator blush, targeted attacks on female staff who dared to raise their voices, and, brace yourselves, derogatory, discriminatory remarks about women that'll make your blood boil. And if that wasn't enough to send you into a rage spiral, there's more. References to a perceived disability, slung like venom from the lips of a man who's supposed to uphold justice and fairness. This isn't just a scandal. It's a betrayal of everything Reform UK claims to stand for. We have a duty of care, Anderson and Yusuf wrote in their statement, their words practically leaping off the page. To every staff member, whether they are on our payroll or caught in the crosshairs of an MP's tyranny, we owe them protection. And so, they didn't mess around. They called in the big guns, an independent King's Counsel, to sift through the wreckage and separate fact from fiction. But here's the kicker. Rupert Low, the man at the center of this firestorm, hasn't lifted a finger to help. Not a single word, not a shred of cooperation. Just stony silence and a smirk that screams guilt louder than a foghorn at midnight. And then, oh, sweet mercy, there's more. As if the bullying and the misogyny weren't enough to bury him, Low's gone and cranked the dial up to 11. On at least 2 occasions, this MP, this supposed pillar of the community, has hurled threats of physical violence at none other than Reform UK's own chairman. Picture it. Fists clenched, eyes blazing, words dripping with menace, all aimed at the very people who gave him a platform. This isn't just a party squabble. It's a declaration of war. And guess what? The police are now in on it, sniffing around this cesspool of aggression like bloodhounds on a scent. Reform UK's promise of the highest standards of conduct is hanging by a thread, and Low's the one holding the scissors. Let's pause for a second and let this sink in, because the weight of this scandal is crushing. Reform UK, a party that's built its name on shaking up the system, tearing down the old guard, and promising a cleaner, bolder future, is now staring into the abyss. And it's not some outsider dragging them down. It's one of their own, a wolf in sheep's clothing who's turned their ideals into a punching bag. The hypocrisy is so thick you could choke on it. And the fallout, it's going to be biblical. Will the party survive this? Can they claw their way back from the brink? Or is this the beginning of the end for Reform UK's grand experiment? Now, let's zoom in on the victims. Those 2 women who've been thrust into this nightmare. Imagine clocking into work every day, your stomach in knots, knowing you're walking into a lion's den. One of them slaved away in Low's parliamentary office, a place where laws are debated, where the future of the nation is shaped, and instead of respect, she got a front row seat to tyranny. The other, she was stuck in his constituency office, a supposed beacon of hope for Great Yarmouth citizens, only to find herself dodging verbal grenades and ducking under the weight of a bully's wrath. These aren't faceless drones. They are real people, with real lives, real fizz, and real courage to speak out against a monster in a suit. The evidence, oh, the evidence. It's a treasure trove of damning proof. Complaints have been lodged with parliamentary authorities, and whispers are swirling that the paper trail is long and ugly. We're talking emails that sting like wasp bites, witness accounts that paint a picture of unrelenting hostility, and maybe, just maybe, recordings that could blow this whole thing wide open. Reform UK's leadership didn't just stumble onto this. They were handed a dossier of despair, a catalogue of cruelty that'd make your skin crawl. And those derogatory remarks? They are not just offhand comments. They are a window into a mind so twisted, so warped, that it's a wonder Low ever got elected in the first place. Let's talk about those threats of violence for a hot minute, because this is where the rubber meets the road. On not one, but 2 separate occasions, Rupert Low looked into the eyes of his party's chairman, Yusuf, a man tasked with steering Reform UK through stormy waters, and let loose with threats that'd make a gangster flinch. Was it a raised fist? A hissed warning? A promise of pain delivered with a cold, calculating stare? We don't have the gritty details yet, but the fact that the police are involved tells you everything you need to know. This isn't a he said, she said spat. This is a potential crime, a breach of every moral and legal code that holds society together. And here's where it gets downright infuriating. Low's refusal to cooperate with the investigation. The King's Counsel, appointed to root out the truth with surgical precision, is being stonewalled by a man who's acting like he's above the law. Does he think he's untouchable? Does he believe the rules don't apply to him? Every day he dodges, every minute he ducks, The stench of guilt grows stronger. Reform UK's leadership is practically begging him to come clean, to face the music, but he's out there playing hide-and-seek while the party burns. It's arrogance on a scale that'd make a king blush, and it's driving a dagger into the heart of everything Reform UK stands for. So where does this leave us? In a word, chaos. Reform UK's promise to uphold the highest standards of conduct in public life is ringing hollower than a broken bell. They vowed to apply those standards without fear nor favor, even to their own ranks, but the clock's ticking and the world's watching. Will they cut ties with Low, casting him into the political wilderness like the pariah he's become? Or will they falter, clinging to a sinking ship while the waves of public outrage swallow them whole? This isn't just about one man. It's about the soul of a party, the trust of a nation, and the future of a movement that's teetering on the edge of oblivion. Let's circle back to the bigger picture, because this scandal isn't happening in a vacuum. Labour's been dominating the news cycle, flexing their muscles and soaking up the attention like sponges in a rainstorm. Reform UK was supposed to be the counterpunch, the scrappy underdog ready to take on the giants. But now they are the punchline, a cautionary tale of hubris and hypocrisy that's handing their rivals a golden gift on a silver platter. Every headline Low generates is another nail in Reform UK's coffin, and you can bet your bottom dollar that Labour's laughing all the way to the ballot box. And what about Great Yarmouth? The people of that coastal town put their faith in Rupert Low, pinning their hopes on a man they thought would fight for them. Instead, they've got a bully in their corner, a thug in a tie who's turned their trust into a weapon. The constituency office, meant to be a lifeline for locals, has become a battleground. The parliamentary office, a symbol of democracy, is now a stage for tyranny. How do you recover from that? How do you look your voters in the eye when your name's synonymous with scandal? The fallout's only just beginning, folks. The police investigation could unearth more skeletons, maybe even charges that stick. The King's Counsel's probe might drop a report so damning it'll be talked about for decades. And Reform UK? They are at a crossroads. Do they double down on their principles and purge the rot, or do they limp along, bleeding credibility with every step? The stakes couldn't be higher, and the drama couldn't be thicker. This is political theatre at its rawest, its wildest, its most unhinged. So here's the million-dollar question. What happens next? Will Rupert Low finally break his silence, spinning a tale to save his skin? Will the whistleblowers step into the light, their voices shaking with fury as they lay bare the truth? Will Reform UK rise from the ashes, or will they crumble under the weight of their own hypocrisy? One thing's for sure, this story's far from over, and we're strapped in for the ride of a lifetime. Before I let you go, let's circle back to that call to action, because this is too big to sit on. If you're reeling from this scandal, if your jaw's on the floor and your mind's racing, then hit that subscribe button right now. Every update, every bombshell, every twist in this saga will land in your lap the second it breaks. And don't just lurk, drop a comment. Tell us, is Rupert Low a villain or a victim? Can Reform UK survive this implosion? Your voice matters, and we're dying to hear it. Subscribe, comment, share. This is the scandal that keeps on giving, and you won't want to miss a single second.